I don't watch Doctor Who because I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I watch Doctor Who because I'm a horror fan. Doctor Who has consistently been an extremely good horror show, but I think the last episode, 73 Yards, is a perfect opportunity to talk about what makes Whovian horror so effective, because the show has its own brand of horror and its own rules for horror. And yes, there will be some sort of a review for the episode, and later on I'll go into spoiler territory, so sorry for that, but I'll warn you before that. So, 73 Yards starts with a very scary premise. The Doctor and Ruby visit Wales. I'm sarcastic. And as they're there, the Doctor steps on a fairy circle, and then he disappears. Ruby is left locked out of the TARDIS, and she sees a woman that is following her at exactly 73 yards and never coming closer or further away. She cannot quite see who that woman is. As she tells people to go ask her why is there, everybody starts running in panic and away from her, and they don't want to talk to her. And that's awfully creepy, because in every part of the episode, in every scene, this woman is in the background and just being there. And as Ruby goes along with her life, you see her there, and that's very creepy. That's a reminder that something is there. And this is what makes a lot of the classic Doctor Who monsters so effective. They tap into one of our deepest fears. I mean, if you go to the Daleks, yes, they're space Nazis, but also they're non-anthropomorphic space Nazis who hate everything which is not them. And we're anthropomorphic, they're not. That makes them extra creepy. They're assault seekers with plungers, and they're scary. Or if you go to more recent monsters like the Angels, when you blink and you're dead, that's awfully scary. The idea that something you cannot see is there and after you. Or the Silence, you stop seeing them, you forgot about them. That's very creepy ideas, and not only they're effective ideas because of the concepts, but they're also following rules. Most of the time, I mean, they did a lot of stupid things with the Angels, but they follow some rules. So you know that as long as you follow the rule, you're safe, and then things go to hell. This is a very common horror trope, especially in the slasher genre, with stuff like vampires or werewolves or Freddy Krueger. Freddy cannot get you if you're not asleep, so all you have to do is not fall asleep, which is easy peasy until something goes wrong, or you have some protection, some things that go on, and then you have the risk of this safety blanket getting away from you, and so you have stakes coming in. Here we have this mystery of there is this woman at 73 yards, and who is she? We don't know. Why is everybody running away? We don't know. That's a rule. We have some rules established, and also we have a very primal fear, the idea that something follows you and it drives people away from you and you're left alone. And we see Ruby trying to cope with that, with her life, and how her life is affected, how her relationships are affected because of that woman following her. So that's one thing that Whovian horror does exceptionally well. And that makes the episode a classic. This episode is a classic. It's a companion heavy episode, meaning the Doctor is mostly not there, and it's all about Ruby to get through the situation and find out what's happening. It's like, it reminded me of two episodes from the Russell T Davies era, Turn Left, which was the companion heavy episode of season 4 with Catherine Tate, Donna Noble, where she is in a time loop and she is not supposed to meet the Doctor, and how her life will go on. That was an excellent episode. And of course, there is a lot of Blink in this episode too, this idea of, which is again a Dr. Light episode, that the idea is something is following you and you have to unravel the mystery without the Doctor. It follows this premise that there is some mystery going on, and there are some hints here and there and constant tensions and rules. However, there is this thing that the woman is never getting closer. But this episode, and this is the spoiler territory, So you haven't watched this episode, go watch it. Go watch it because it's awesome. It was better than Boom. So if Russell T Davies wrote an episode that's better than Stephen Moffat episode, it's bound to be good. Alright. The second thing that this episode does, and I think the excellent Doctor Who episodes do this well, is that it tweaks its own formula, its own rules. There is this trope of the Doctor coming somewhere and mentioning some crazy out there sci-fi concepts like, oh, on this planet there is this life form, blah 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 blah, or you know, in the 18th century I met this historical figure and we had so much fun fighting vampires. Or, you know, something even crazier like a Welsh person becoming the Prime Minister of the UK. You instantly hear that and you're like, oh, those crazy bastards, where do they think those concepts? And as we get towards the third act of the episode, it turns out that this awful Welsh Prime Minister that was the worst Prime Minister of the UK. So you know that you're in for a treat if you judge from lettuces. Does exist. And as Ruby's life goes on, as she grows old, because yes, apparently she's a Clara, but we'll get there. As Ruby is growing older and we get to 2037, the year that the Welsh Prime Minister is coming to power, Ruby sees him in an interview and realizes that that's why I'm here. I'm here to save the world from nuclear Armageddon because this guy is crazy. And so she joins his team and she realizes that maybe I should get the woman right next to him. And so she's following his political campaigning, and there's indeed some very dark stuff here. When Russell Davies is subtle, he's subtle, and there's this implied sexual assault storyline that is three scenes at all and nothing explicit, but it's very well implied. I made a short with those scenes, if you want to see it, which was very dark for Doctor Who show, and again, it's a family show, so yes, they can have genocidal salt shakers, but not stuff like that, or the way they ignore sexism and racism in episodes about the past, unless they're an important element because they want to be family friendly and fun, not depressing. So here there is this hint of that, but it's very well implied. So I was impressed by Russell Davies being subtle for once. There are other things happening, like for instance, when the Doctor breaks the circle, Ruby opens the scrolls in it, and it's about putting Mad Jack to rest. So she goes to a little Welsh village, to a pub, and she tells them about it, and they are joking, and there is this whole scene that is very Doctor Who is about the villager knowing that there is magic and witchcraft and something evil coming, but it's all an elaborate play on her. They prank her, they don't believe her, so that's quite an interesting twist to it. So yes, this episode is going out there. It takes the Doctor Who formula and does some twists and turns here and there, and when you get the finale and the explanation, it's really impactful, and also it makes perfect sense. But again, I don't mind, it's Doctor Who. So we'll have some happy endings eventually, ways for things to come together again so we can get to the next adventure. And there are a lot of complaints about the politics being too much on the nose in Doctor Who, and here again we have politics and political satire and how evil people get into power and populism and how the signs are there but people ignore them. But also there is this Dead Zone part of it that it's clearly inspired by Stephen King's Dead Zone, the final part. So it works because you can understand that yes, we put a maniac into the government and things are going to hell, which yeah, I mean every British person will probably empathize with that. I have to complain about something here. When I was thinking of what the script will be in this review, I kept calling Ruby Rose. I don't think the actress is bad. I think the actress does an excellent job. but I think the character is just, she's too much of a Clara, and Clara was not the best companion. I mean, don't get me wrong, Martha was worse, but she is a mystery box like Clara, and something that Steven Moffat did, and something that Steven Moffat did and really backfired in his Doctor Who run is that during the Capaldi era, he took Clara, for which he had no idea what to do, and he left her to do something no companion has ever done: grow up and get a life while traveling with the Doctor. And Clara, in her final season in Doctor Who, she got a job, she got a boyfriend, and she was having adventures in between all that. So her and Capaldi's relationship was very adult and very mature, and probably that drove a lot of people away. Like, it had a lot of complication, a lot of I won't say character drama. Actually, it had an element of, it's not as dramatic. It's not all about this 900-year-old man coming in and getting a naive woman, maybe young or not. I mean, there's Donna, she's naive but not young, and they're out for an adventure that is no breaks. No, it was like, I'm at school, I have my job, and then we go on an adventure and I return. Which makes the formula a bit strange, to be honest. And here we see Ruby growing older, and she has this maturing Clara side to her. It's interesting to see how a companion's life is after the Doctor disappears, and how her life is not the same, but there is also the old woman there. So it's not like that, actually. It's part of the story, but yes, they make her the mystery box, and then they make her grow older. I don't know, I don't get Ruby. I think that Ruby is too much of a mystery box to have a personality of her own. And while she shows a lot of initiative in this series, there is no personality that shines. I mean, I may say that Martha is the worst, but Martha did have a personality. She was a Dr. Fangirl, or a simp, I guess, even though there's nothing mediocre about the Doctor or, his beat. But yes, she was idealizing the Doctor, and it was a bit annoying because we had Rose before that. So if you have a second love story, it wouldn't be as fun. It would be like, oh, the Doctor is a fuckboy, right? It's a premise that brought a lot of people to my channel, so I won't complain about it. But still, didn't feel right, and her chemistry with David Tennant was not the best. Donna was great. Donna had a lot of personality because she was not idolizing the Doctor. Amy had the crack and the Melody Pond arc, but she was like this girl who had this imaginary friend she was infatuated with, and left her life to follow him when he came up years later in her life again. But then she had to reconcile with her life and actually grew to be a, spoilers, mother-in-law for the Doctor. Clara was again the mystery box girl who overstayed her welcome, and she had to grow old, which is not something the Doctor formula is good at doing. Something that I just realized that ruined a lot of the Capaldi era seasons. It sounds wrong to say that a woman growing on her own destroyed a Doctor Who season, but bear with me. Even if we get to Yaz or the other two guys, they had personalities. Ruby feels to me like she is blank slate. And maybe that's the whole point, come to think of it. Maybe she is a blank slate to be filled with whatever. Because here, it does fill the role of the crafty and strong companion that is smart and has a will of her own and takes initiative and tries to cope with the crazy situations. She deserves to be a companion, but she's not interesting as a companion. It's not like I'll remember, oh, Ruby was like that, like I remember for the other companions in the past. So yeah, that's a bit of a miss to me. But whatever. That was my opinion about 76 Yards. Again, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. Thank you very much for watching and for subscribing and for everything. Have a good one.